happened when you are late, you have to come to the front. Any questions or suggestion for discussion today?
I think meditation today is very quick.
Quick. Yeah, meditation was actually 5 minutes quick today, quicker than normal. But at the same time, meditation will feel like a quicker when you practice meditation a little longer. For beginners, even 5 minutes of meditation feel like 1 hour. But for experienced, 1 hour of meditation just feel like 5 minutes. That happens. So time is kind of big myth that we are in. But we all are following that myth by thinking it's there. Just simply think the way how do we function. When you do something you really like, what does happen to the time? Time goes very fast. Then you feel like, oh, time is going very fast. What that means, you really like it, then you don't feel time is moving. But when you happen to engage with something you don't like, then you think time goes very slow. So what is behind it? Is something wrong with the clock? No. It is about how do we engage or how do we live in that moment. If I go a little further, think when you see certain people, they look younger than their actual age. Of course, in this society, to be nice, you would say, yeah, you look younger. That is not what I am talking about. I am talking about for your true sense. It is not about makeup. It is not about all these decorations you are doing to your body. It is about your genuine look. Sometimes your genuine look looks younger than your real age. Sometimes your genuine looks older than your actual age. If you really look at those people who's older than their age, you may find out that they are having a lot of difficulties going on in their life, or they are maybe having some pain, stress. Even the same person after some time looks younger. Even that same person can looks older. That would be the real aging in the body. The real aging in the body goes with our mind, not with the time. So at the beginning of the meditation, some of you were talking about the physical health, sickness. And Then some of you, I heard talks about mental health, some mental challenges. And in this society, we are well aware of that. Because in the East, people don't want to talk about mental health. But the good thing in the West, people are not scared to talk about mental challenges. But as a mindful person, we have to be aware of this very fact by understanding the nature of being sick. Now think about your body. When flu goes around, what do? If you are really be aware of that flu, you try to protect yourself from it. You try to take care of you by taking extra actions. Even though when you happen to talk to somebody who has flu, you try to stay a little bit away. If you are a hugger, maybe that day you would not hug. If you really have to hug, then you maybe would not breathe while you are hugging. So you are taking precautions, actions to protect you from the flu. But most important part, you should be aware of it. Without being aware of the flu, without being aware of your situation, which is you have a body which can be affected by this, subject to contagious. Only that person would guard and protect. Now let's apply the same thing for your mind. Have you heard about mental flow? Have you ever think about mental flow? Anger, frustration, anxiety, fear, those just work as a flu. Contagious. People can spread that very fast. If you keep your TV on, you can see even this flu can come from the TV. These politicians or this news can just give you a clue to have this mental flu. Contagious. That's the most important thing. Anger is contagious. Frustration is contagious. You have a mind which can be affected by it. Not only that, if you get sick from it, then you lose your healthy mind. Then you will take decisions based on anger. You will take decisions based on fear. You will take decisions based on frustration. So that decision is not a healthy decision. So as a mindful person, we have to be aware of that. Just like a mental flow. There's another type of disease. Now, sometimes you break your hand. Sometimes you break your part of the bodies, legs, and some damages happen. Even sometimes there are wounds, rash, some challenges like that. There are certain mental breakdowns. you break your hand, then you have to take care of your hand. To break your hand, it will take only 1 second, even less than a second. To heal that broken hand, 1 second doesn't do that job. Even few days. Maybe it will take months. You have to take care of it. You have to do the right treatments. You have to keep your hands in the right way. It takes time. Very same thing happens to your mind. To break your mind, it's only take one thought. The right, wrong thought can drag you into that sickness. When that happened, you had to take care of that in the right way. It will take months, maybe years. Maybe there are some physical challenges. It stays as a lifetime. There are some mental challenges goes in the same way. We need to understand that. We need to understand the nature of the mind. By knowing the nature of the mind, only you can protect it, support it. But as a mindful person, first of all, we have to be aware of those mental flow. Then, mental breakdowns. There's actually term you call disabilities. And we are even using that for the some mind-related situations. But now I want you to see this as in a different way. There are physical disabilities, but disabilities you can train, you can overcome with the proper training. The same way, there are mental disabilities. By having a proper training, you can overcome the challenges. But mostly the society is being aware of those disabilities and breakdowns. But society does not be aware of the mental flows. As a mindful person, you have to know that. Think about what can be starting point for pneumonia. Just simple flu can lead into pneumonia. Buddha said, greed and anger. Greed, anger, and fear are the cause for all mental challenges. Whatever the mental challenges you would see, if you really use mindfulness to dig it through, you will notice the seed is either anger, fear, or greed. This is where we try to establish mindfulness. We are establishing mindfulness to overcome these mental challenges. We are establishing mindfulness to maintain mental health. that will help you to remain as a healthy one. Maybe sometimes we are sick, we don't know. Think about, there are people who's carrying some flu around, but others notice it, but you say, no, I'm fine, I'm not coughing. They would say while they are coughing. They cough, no, I'm not coughing. I don't cough. They have a running nose. Do you have a running nose? No, I'm fine, just this morning. Even though it is visible, we are having hard time to being angry. What about the mental challenges? Nobody can see. Others cannot see it. That way easily we can hide it. Only mindful person mindfully will recognize this. Only mindful person mindfully take actions to not to be sick. By knowing those are contagious and I have a mind which is subject, which can influenced by this. Finally, I want to say, as a mindful person, when those flu, when the contagious person happen to appear, you'd be mindful enough to protect you from it. Which means when somebody is there who's spreading the anger, you would have a shield to protect you. Mindfulness would be the shield which protects you to not to be angry. When somebody is angry, just think in your family or at your workplace. When someone expresses something out of anger, what would happen? All of a sudden, everyone act angry. When only one person should have to be angry at home, then all of a sudden everybody is angry. I have witnessed in few times in last few months around political situations how fear and anger spread around. When one person shares something with fear, all of a sudden everybody who's around there respond with the same fear. They get affected by it. Anger with the same. Think how fast your mind get affected by this contagious disease. But we don't see this as a disease. We think there's no problem of being angry. But as a mindful person, you can see what does happen to your mind. Can you think clear? Can you even see clear? Can you take a right decision? Remember, if you take action or if you have a decision as a sick person, that decision is not the right decision. That action is not the right action. Action is sick. Decision is sick. It doesn't have your fully capacity. Any question or thoughts?
So do you watch the news? I mean, how can you not watch the news and, not get wound up by it somehow? I mean, I think it's kind of, I know you gotta do it mindfully or whatever, but how do you stay informed and not have it affect you?
For record, last time I watched news right after the election day. So I watched that news on that day, maybe few months after. Still, I am alive. It's addiction. We don't necessarily say that. It is addiction. We think society has conditioned us to think that you don't know anything if you don't watch news. Let me tell you one of the important thing I learned about in my life. I used to watch Sri Lankan news every day, almost every day, because now since we have internet, we watch news almost every day. Not only watching the news every day, I even used to watch news from 2-3 channels. Same news playing in these few channels, but used to watch. Then I noticed what is happening to my mind. What am I looking for? Few years back, one of the major Sri Lankan political situation was end. That terrorist war. On that day I decided I will not watch news anymore. And I used to watch hear news on weekends, just me to be updated what is happening. Then I stopped watching that news also. Few years after now I am realizing I don't miss anything. Honestly, I don't miss anything. Only the thing what I have gained is I don't know all these gossips. All these unimportant things I don't know. I'm glad I don't know those. Everything what I need to know, I hear from other people. And maybe if something is really important, maybe I would get through emails. So honestly, I would say I don't miss anything. But that's a kind of myth we have in our head. Oh, I should know, otherwise I don't know. Really look, what are they providing as a news? All the gossips. You would be totally fine by not knowing that. And earlier, of course, you have to know weather, especially living in Minnesota. If you have, before you go out, and you should know what the road conditions. Is there any storms coming? But these days, you have a cell phone. It can alert you. Even though when you are driving by a certain area, your phone alerts you and says, "Oh, it's a flood warning, this warning, that warning." We don't have to go after news anymore. World has been changed, but we should protect ourselves without being caught into that. Hope I answered your question. In a weird way, right? Any other thoughts or questions?
If I made I think in our culture, like there's a thing, like a bumper sticker says, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And I think that's like a real big mistake. you can know things, but you don't have to be outraged. And we're almost, I personally have been like, whatever they call it, shamed by other people. Like, how can you know this stuff and you're not like screaming and yelling? And it's like, no, that's the wrong answer. You don't have to be outraged. You can know something, and if there's something you can do about it, you do it. If there's nothing to do about it, then okay. But you don't have to be outraged. You can know all kinds of bad things and not scream and yell about it. And I think American culture, and you said like especially this last election, we were constantly shamed by how come you're not like throwing up at what these people are doing? And it's like, well, they're people. And then I decide who I want to vote for, and then you go on.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I think we can stop here our class. For because we have two new meditators today. For their information, I would share. After meditation, we don't leave right away. Which we do is we just go back and have tea together with them. We may continue the same discussion and just gather here and get to know each other. I would say we would have tea mindfully, and if we have snacks, we have snacks mindfully too. Maybe Gina can talk about Triple Gym a little bit because we have some new people. And then we have yoga afterward, 10:30, and you all are welcome to stay for yoga.